Rev up your engines!
All right, Toyota has to pay a record fine of $180 million to the United States government for violation of Clean Air Act. But it's not as cut and dry as you might think. To quote the government, Toyota was fined. They had non-compliance, failed to provide proper training, attention, and oversight to its Clean Air Act reporting obligations, which likely led to delayed or avoided emissions-related recalls, resulting in financial benefit to Toyota. So they didn't fill out paperwork in time. Here we go with the government again. Some of this stuff just totally amazes me. You know, you didn't fill your paperwork out in the proper time, we're going to fine you. It's the biggest fine that anybody's been given so far for this emission stuff, $180 million. Here's some of the paperwork that shows you the level of insane bureaucratic paperwork. They claim in March 2002, Toyota received 25 product reports from its dealers, but did not supplement that by filing an EDR warranty claims for an emission-related part in 4% of Toyota's California fleet. At the meeting, the EPA rejected this process as not timely, considering warranty claims because of the 4% California trigger. We're talking about 4% of the cars, and it was a trigger that may have created a problem. This is what happens when governments get involved in things. And now they got to pay a fine because they didn't do this paperwork stuff right. It actually kind of amuses me because they're allowing cars to drive down the road. They put out tons of carbon dioxide. They have to. They're burning gasoline in Earth's atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is one of the biggest byproducts of it. And haggling over a little bit of hydrocarbons here and there, to me, it's worse than rearranging the deck while the Titanic is sinking. But the government's getting a $180 million fine out of the deal, so I guess they're happy. It makes the bureaucrats look good that they're actually doing something, when in fact they're really not doing anything at all other than collecting money for some paperwork. Just like with Volkswagen when they got fined in the United States, a bunch of the money Volkswagen put into their recharging system called Electrify America. And if electric cars become popular, Volkswagen will make a profit on that. So the government forced them to do that, spend their money building those, but Volkswagen may make a profit out of it anyway. So, I mean, this idea of fines, let's put it in quotation marks, because it's not like you go to court and they give you a $500 fine, you got to pay them $500. It's a different ball game here. 2004 Jeep WJ says, I've heard good and bad things about Nissan Pathfinders. I'm looking to buy a 2006 Nissan Pathfinder. It's got 148,000 miles. How will it hold up? They're asking too much money, 148,000 miles on it. If that was a Toyota or a Honda, they could get it easy because people love them and they're really well made. For a Nissan Pathfinder, from my own personal experience of working on them for my customers' cars, 148,000 miles, generally the Pathfinders are on the way to the junkyard. A lot of times they'll start burning oil, their transmissions will start going out. I wouldn't pay that kind of money. But if you're thinking about it, have a mechanic like me check it out, especially pull some spark plugs and look at it. If he sees the spark plugs are covered with carbon and they're burning oil, don't even buy it because those engines only last so long and they start burning oil. I had two customers with that same vehicle, and both of them, when they got to 130,000 miles, the engine started to go out burning oil. So you would want to check that before you buy, and you wouldn't pay $55. That's too much money for one with that kind of mileage on it. Mosi says, hey, I live in Yorkshire, England. I got a 2016 Jeep Renegade. Over 6 months, the radio was losing signal from our favorite stations. I had it out and checked the antenna, and that's okay, and I used electrical grease so it didn't fur up again, but it keeps doing it. I understand the system needs updates from time to time on a sat-nav, but surely I don't need an expensive software update to listen to my car radio. In my BMW X1, all the channels work perfectly. Okay, well, so it's not the area you live in. It's the car. Well, realize the Jeep Renegade isn't a Jeep. It's a Fiat 500 four-wheel drive vehicle. Is that it's a pile of junk. Now, I would, if I were you, going and get the sat-nav upgraded, because who knows if something's going wrong with that. But if that's not the case, you tried the antenna, and you know it's not the antenna. It's the radio itself just breaking down. And it wouldn't surprise me, because anything the Italians make that's electronic, it kind of shocks me if it lasts more than a couple of years before it breaks. It was always the bane of Italian cars, where their electronic systems were absolute garbage. Historically, that was true, and from my experience today with Fiat and Chrysler vehicles, they're continuing their tradition of crappy electronics. And in your case, that's probably it. I mean, what the heck? Get an Android, probably better than the junk the Italians put in it anyways. You can get an Android for, well, you're in England, so probably less than 100 pounds, you can get a decent Android and just throw that in and forget the junk that the Italians put in it in the first place. Louis says, help, my 2010 Explorer won't start at all. It's got 170,000 miles. I was driving, heard a big noise, and all of a sudden it stopped. Now it won't start at all. I went to a shop. They said it blew the head gasket. What do you think? At a minimum, it blew the head gasket. You said you heard a big noise. Head gaskets, generally, they're internal. You don't really hear a noise. They just start leaking and then the car doesn't run right. You heard a big noise. I'm assuming something bigger than just the head gasket. Probably threw a rod or broke a valve or a cam broke or something. You got to decide. I wouldn't even try to fix it myself. I would either go potluck with the used engine or just get rid of the vehicle. But if you want to keep it, price a fully remanufactured engine and see if you want to put that kind of money into the vehicle. And if not, sell it as is to see if somebody wants to buy and put an engine in themselves. Rohan CD says, hey Scotty, I'm from India. I bought a used Volkswagen Vento. It had a coolant leak, so they fixed it, but then there was an oil leak and they fixed it. Now the exhaust lights lit up and the gasoline smells. I asked the dealer, they said, oh, it doesn't have any problems. Help, my VW Vento is falling apart in India. All right, well, Volkswagens fall apart all over the world. That's one consistent thing with them. But of course, the dealers say, oh, there's no issues with these cars. Come on. Oh, they all lie about it. They're never going to tell you the truth because they sell them. They're not going to say, oh, these are horrible cars. Don't ever buy one. Go get a Toyota instead. I see it all the time when people bring me cars. Say, we took it to the dealer. They said, well, there's no problem. Or they say, the worst thing in the world. That's normal. Yeah, maybe it's normal that a GM engine will burn a quart of oil every 800 miles, even though it's only a couple of years old. Well, it may be normal for the junk that they're building, but it isn't the way they're supposed to be. And just like you're finding out, they're telling you it doesn't have any issues, but it's got all kinds of issues. They're not going to tell you the truth about what's going on there. Come on, they're selling you something. The only people that are going to tell you the truth are honest mechanics like me that work on them and care about their customers and say, you know, you shouldn't buy one of these cars because they have problems. Or I'd say, okay, you bought it, you own it, and here's stuff that we should fix, but here's stuff that you probably just want to live with because it's going to cost a bunch of money to fix it. And then since it's cheap plastic crap, it'll probably break again soon anyway. You can't ask the dealers, as they say, that there's nothing wrong because that's their vested interest to tell you that. You need somebody like me that's going to tell you the truth. I find it fascinating that no matter where you buy Volkswagens, they seem to fall apart. Mink says, hi, Scotty. I have black grease in my engine bay everywhere. It's a 2011 Toyota Corolla, 160,000 kilometers on it. Under the hood, I see black grease everywhere. There's no oil fluid leak. The engine starts and runs fine. I can just about guarantee you what it is. At some point in time, your CV boots, probably the inner ones, the CV drive shafts, there's one on the left side, driver's side, and there's one on the passenger side, right side. There's CV joints on the inside that snap into the transmission, and there's CV joints on the outside. When those inside ones, the boot rips, it'll throw black grease everywhere. So look close and you'll probably see one of them is ripped, the grease came out. Just replace that entire axle assembly because you can get them as cheap as $60, brand new. They're made in China, but they work perfectly fine, and repairing them costs more money than that anyways. And you'll probably see that's it. That's about the only place that's black grease. And since it's the inner one often don't make noise for quite some time. It's the outer one. Every time you turn, you hear clack, clack, clack. But the inside one, it only goes up and down a little. So they often won't make any noise. But look in their odds, you can see that boot's ripped and the grease is all coming out. And you just want to replace that whole drive shaft. Jose Tovar says, Scotty, I've been wanting to buy an Acura RDX. When I look at a new one, it's about $44K. And a used one exactly the same with between 2,000 and 10,000 miles is $10,000 cheaper. Why? I would think Acura price wouldn't depreciate so much. Any car in the real world, once you buy it and drive it 10,000 miles, they lose anywhere from 20 to 70% of their value. The German cars lose a lot more. That's relatively normal if you're buying it from a private individual. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You know, they want the money. Who's going to buy a used vehicle for close to the new price? They'll say, to heck with it, I'll buy a brand new one. Why should I take a gamble to save $1,000? And that's the main reason for that. Trust no one when it comes to used cars. Could be it was a wrecked, flooded, or stolen car. So you'd want to have a little research done on the car, check the VIN number, have a mechanic check it that out, see if it's been wrecked, flooded, or stolen. That's one of the big flags. Is if a car is too cheap, something bad could have happened to it, so you want to do a little research before you buy it. You don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but on the other hand, you don't want some lemon that's been painted over, purchased by you, and then when sheen wipes off the lemon, you see it's rotten inside. So you would want to check it out. But all cars lose a lot of value when they're just a few years old with small mileage. It's just the way the world is. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.